So here we are, Star Wars issue 1 is my first review this week. This was a book, originally when it first was announced, I was really excited about it. And then Lucasfilm, they sold the rights to Disney. So it was announced that Dark Horse at the end of this year will finish doing the Star Wars comics, and that from 2015 Marvel are going to start bringing out Star Wars books. So it was like, wow, this isn't going to survive. It's going to be for a year, and I think there's so many other books that I enjoy and I want to support. So I was going to miss on this, but then there was a preview. They put a 3-page preview out, and I was like, wow, I am on board. I have to buy this book. And so I've dropped Avengers Arena, which there was nothing wrong with that book. I was really enjoying that book, but it's just you can't afford all of the books. You have all of us. We all have the same problem. We have a budget. If we had unlimited funds, then yeah. If we had unlimited funds and unlimited time, then yeah, I would buy every comic. But there's just no way I could afford that. So that means I have to cut my cloth accordingly. But I had to pick up Star Wars. Reading this, it's definitely on my pull list now. So I'm knocking off Avengers Arena. So you won't see any more reviews on here for Avengers Arena. Because Star Wars has took its place. I've had a love affair on my whole life with the films. I was born in 1976. Star Wars came out the following year. So all my conscious life, Star Wars has been there. I've never known a world without Star Wars. And as a child, it just mesmerised me and just captured my heart from the first time I saw it. The excitement I got, the way it just expanded my mind, and my mind boggled at all these creatures and these concepts. It was just amazing. And even now, when I watch the films, I feel filled with that same joy. But I've never quite got that same joy reading the books or the comics. While I've enjoyed them, Darth Vader and the Ghost Prison, that made my top 10 for last year. And I enjoyed that story, but I didn't get that same joy that I got from the first times I saw the original trilogy. This book, though, is the first time in comic book form I've got that joy. The book, it is set 2 months after an Empire Strike, after A New Hope. Sorry, it's set 2 months after A New Hope, 2 months after the Battle of Yavin, at the end of where they blow up the Death Star. We start the story with Luke, Leia and Wedge. They're trying to find a new rebel base on the Outer Rim. And they're sort of talking. Luke's like, is it worth it? Think of all the people we've lost. My aunt and uncle, Ben, Leia, you've lost a whole planet. Is it worth it? We're still running around hiding. Is it worth all what we've gone to? All the funerals that we've gone to in the last month? Is it, worth all what we've given up? And sort of Leia, it's a nice moment where it does bring home that a hell of a lot of people died in that first film, and that it would affect anybody. And I liked that that Brian Wood, the writer, has brought that up and brought that out. He adds that kind of more realistic tone in that you would have the moments afterwards. Maybe during it you wouldn't have time to sort of reflect, but afterwards, and I like that he added that touch of realism to the story. We then, the Empire turn up at Star Destroyer, and all hell breaks loose, and and Leia, and Luke and Wedge have to get out of there. We then get to see Han Solo and Chewbacca, and they've been given a mission by Mon Mothma for some deliveries. So they're doing that, and Han's they're sort of talking about whether they should stay with the Alliance or whether they should go to see Jabba to pay him the money that they are, or what should they do. And it was a nice little moment with Han and Chewie. I like that. It really encapsulated the character of Han Solo. It really felt like I was reading Han Solo. We then get Leia gets back to the rebel base, and Mon Mothma thinks that they've got to leak a spy in the ranks, and she assigns Leia to find this spy, to put together her own team of people she trusts the most to help her flush out this spy. We then see the Emperor talking to Darth Vader. Vader's kind of been demoted, that the Emperor's displeased with him. He blames him for the destruction of the Death Star, that he should have been able to blow up that TIE fighter. the X-Wing fighter, and with his TIE fighter, and they should still have the Death Star. That it's financially, it's really they put a lot of resources into building that, and to have lost it, it's a big blow. And he does blame Vader. We get to find out, there's a nice little moment at the end of the issue where Vader has a word that he's hiding from the Emperor, and it's a really interesting moment. This word that he's hiding, that he doesn't quite understand yet, and doesn't understand what it means, which I like that moment, that that we know what it means, and we know Vader eventually finds out what it means. But at that moment, he doesn't, and then in the end, with Leia starting to put her team together to try and catch this spy. All in all, I love this book. It was fantastic. Brian Wood, the writer, has done a fantastic job in getting all the characters pitch perfect. Like the scene with Vader and the Emperor, I could hear in my head the voice. I think it's Ian McDiarmid who played the Emperor. I could hear his voice in my head as he talked. And the whole book just took me back to my childhood and give me that same excitement and joy that I had as a kid when I watched Star Wars. The art, as always, I don't know what the picture, the lighting in there is like, but the art is fantastic. Sometimes the problem when you have somebody drawing, when you have somebody who's drawing something from real life, is sometimes it's getting that balance right of making it look good, but not making it look like the people in the films, but not making it, you can't do that every panel. It falls down, and it's sort of getting that balance. But brilliant. I love the book. I love the art. Who is the artist? I ain't even going to pronounce that. Carlos de Anda. They did a fantastic job. Fantastic team. Definitely on board for this book. If you're a Star Wars fan of any kind, if you're just a small Star Wars fan, or you've enjoyed the films, or you're mad about the films, this is definitely a comic book you need to be checking out. You'll enjoy it. You don't need no other knowledge than having watched the first Star Wars film. That's all you need to know to enjoy this book. A fantastic read. Like a little piece of my childhood come back to life, and I definitely give it a thumbs up. So, issue 4 of the Thor God of Thunder continues the God Butcher storyline. It's part 4 of the God Butcher. Yeah. Oh no, of the God Butcher. It's called The Last God of Asgard. It starts off with our King Thor from the future, and we saw him in the first issue, and he looked like he was a warrior, the last of the gods. We get to find out this issue that he's the last of the gods, full stop. And for some reason, the God Butcher is keeping him alive. He battles the Black Berserkers, but they just spare him and throw him back into Asgard, and he just wants to die. He just wants an end to this. We then jump to modern Thor, who has found the cave of the God Butcher, and in this cave is this other god called Shadrach, who's the god of wine and waterfalls from this other planet. And what the God Butcher has done to him, he cut off his eyelids and forced him to watch as he killed all his fellow gods, and butchered them and killed them, and did horrific things to them. And Shadrach was forced to watch because he couldn't close his eyes. So Thor gets off Shadrach this word, which he thinks is another god. So Thor goes off to that library we saw, I think it was last issue, to sort of find out if they know that there's a god called this name, then they can find it there. I'll try and find that word. It's there it is, Chronox. He thinks this is a god, but he gets to the library, and the library has been attacked by the Black Berserkers. So Thor manages to fight his way through and get the information he needs, and he finds that it isn't a god, it's a planet. We then see past Thor, the young Thor, who has been captured by the God Butcher, and the God Butcher is torturing him to try and get him to reveal the names and places of all the gods of Earth. We then jump back to Future 4 as he heads off to Chronox. Can he stop the God Butcher, or will he get there too late? This has been a fantastic story. I really enjoyed it. Before it started, I did have my concerns. I like Jason Aaron, he's one of my favourite writers, but I didn't know if he was the right writer for 4, but he's done a fantastic job on this story. I'm fascinated with only one issue left to finish this whole story off. Whether the whole God Butcher thing and the 3/4s, if that's going to carry on long term, or if that's just our first story arc, that's going to be something that I'm looking forward to finding out. You know, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how Thor is going to manage to defeat the God Butcher, because he seems quite quite an opponent that Thor has never fought before. You know, Thor may need help here, but who can he ask? But it's been a fantastic story. I really enjoyed it. The art, as always, by Ribbage is really good. I've really enjoyed the artwork. But the artwork, as always, is just fantastic. Man, let's spoil it. But yeah, I've really enjoyed this book. It's been a great read. Well worth checking out. One of the best, I'd say, of the Marvel Now range. But the Marvel, for me, the books that I've read, I've been quite impressed with so far. The Marvel Now range are doing a good job, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this story goes, and I give it a definite thumbs up. So I don't know about it. I think this might be the first time ever that my pick of the week is a book that originally I wasn't going to pick up. It is The Superior Spider-Man, issue number 1. And, you know, the bit of the backstory about me and this book first, I was going to get it, but then I worked out my money and I'm spending far too much on comics. I've got to cut some books off my pull list, so I was in the attempt of doing that, and I decided, yeah, this book's twice a month. I was really disappointed with issue 700. It wasn't so much that they killed Peter Parker, because I've read comics long enough to know Peter Parker will be back. But it was the execution of everything that I didn't enjoy and I didn't like, and just didn't really set me up well for Superior Spider-Man. So I was going to drop this one, miss it out. But then I read a preview. They did a preview of the first couple of pages, and I kind of liked the sound of that. And I was intrigued, you know. But the real deal breaker for me was Avengers number 3 was supposed to come out today, issue 3 of Avengers, but it's been put back for 2 weeks. I don't know why, but it's been put back. So I had spare cash, because that next issue will come out in next month's wages. So I had a bit of spare cash, so I ended up picking this one up. That's the basic truth of it, you know. If I hadn't had that spare cash, no matter how good the preview is, I wouldn't have picked it up. But I picked it up, and you know what? It was brilliant. I think this was a perfect first issue. It sets the story up. You don't need no knowledge coming into this book. You don't need to have been reading Spider-Man for 100 issues. You can just pick this book up, and you will get it. It explains what you need to know, and it also sets where the story is going to go. So you leave this with a good idea of the book, and I think after this issue you can pretty much decide whether you like the direction of this or not by the end of this issue. So anyway, the story, for those, you know, kicks off. Spider-Man is at Otto Octavius' grave. Now, of course, in the last issue of Amazing Spider-Man, Dr. Octopus had swapped bodies with Peter Parker, so Dr. Octopus is now Spider-Man. But his old body that now Peter Parker is in is dying, and Peter Parker ended up dying, and he's dead now. So Dr. Octopus is alive in Spider-Man's body, but Peter is dead. But before he died, he managed to flood Octopus with memories, because Octopus has access to all of Peter's memories, and he managed to flood his mind with Peter's memories, and he got the whole, with great power comes great responsibility, but then he said, oh, I'm going to be a better Spider-Man, I'm going to be the superior Spider-Man. And that's where the whole thing comes. So we kick off the story where we go through that whole thing again, where he's going to be the superior Spider-Man. It then heads off, and a new Sinister Six are formed. Of course, that used to be Dr. Octopus's team, but this is a brand new Sinister Six, and they attack. They're robbing somewhere, and so he goes to apprehend them and stop them, and he's taking them out, and he scratches the leader with these new claws he's got. But then he decides it's too much and he leaves them, and he sort of lets them escape, and they're like, well, that's new. What they don't know is he's put these little nanobots in the scratch, and so that he can now know where they are, and he can also hear what they're saying. And he gets their plan, so he sets up this trap that he's going to get them. His boss at Horizon Labs, Max Maddow, interrupts his work because he's a bit concerned with that fact that he's working for that he knows Peter Parker makes weapons for Spider-Man. He's kind of left a bit ambiguous whether Max has put it together or not, that Peter Parker and Spider-Man are the same person. But he expresses doubt that he doesn't want Horizon Labs to be making weapons. But then Peter sort of shows him, well, this is what these things can be used for, and he's like, okay, that looks good. You know, these are going to make your name, Peter Parker. And so, like, then we have a moment with Dr. Octopus where he's like, no, these are the inventions of Otto Octavius. How can Parker take credit for all of this? But then he sort of has to remind himself, no, I'm Peter Parker now, so they're it's my credit, you know. I've got to start thinking about Otto Octavius. I am Peter Parker now. We then go, he sets the trap, and the new Sinister Six try to break into Horizon Labs, and he manages to sort of stop them all. He comes up with different inventions to sort of stop them all, things that can stop them. But then he's fighting the leader, and the media are there because he's invited them to come and see Spider-Man capture the Sinister Six, and he's beating up the leader and he's going to kill him. And that's when we have this big twist at the end of the issue that happens. You know, is Spider-Man going to kill the new leader of the Sinister Six, or what? You know what's going to happen? But the last page, I was like freaking out. I was like, I'm telling you, I was like, oh my god, oh my god. I read this before work, and I think I woke the whole house up because I was so excited when I saw the last page. It's really good surprise, and a really nice twist at the end of this tale, and something that had been a bit foreshadowed. If you'd read Avenging Spider-Man at 15.1, you'd have seen this foreshadowed. But really good issue. Like I say, I feel this is a perfect issue 1. The art, I can't say I've heard of Ron Stegman before, you know, but I liked his art in this one. You know, it worked for me. I liked it. It felt like, you know, I think Spider-Man always has, well, at least these days, has a certain style and a certain way, and so yeah, but I really liked the book. My pick of the week. I just was blown away how much I enjoyed this. I've got to go back to the drawing board now and decide what books am I going to drop so I can pick up this twice a month. But it'll be well. I'm enjoying this, and I'm definitely on board the Superior Spider-Man buzz now, and I give this a definite thumbs up. Well worth checking out. So here we are, Wolverine and the X-Men, and we continue the story with the murder circus. And you may remember that all the teachers from the Jean Grey school had been put under this spell by this circus, the murder circus, run by this guy here, Frankenstein, and he's got this witch, Calabria or something like that, and she basically puts all the X-Men under a spell, and they now work for the circus. Like Wolverine became Revolto the Clown, and they all have different jobs for the circus, doing different acts using their powers. But they broke the spell, so this is the issue now where they're going to take on shut this circus down, take the circus on. And so what do you do? What does the circus do when they're under attack? Well, call in the clowns. So we have a whole load of zombie clowns battling the X-Men, which is just cool, you know. How can you not enjoy the X-Men versus zombie clowns? You know, that is just wow. In amongst all this, we have some nice character moments. We learn a little bit more about Eye-Boy, and about his powers. He isn't just a kid covered in eyeballs. We learn what he can see with those eyeballs. We also get to have nice character moments with Maximilian von Frankenstein as well as Heidi. They both have great character moments in this that I feel will change them going forward. It's a really good issue. It comes down to a showdown between Wolverine and Frankenstein, and it's a really good issue, and I enjoyed it. It was just a fun read. As always with the Jason Aaron book, he infuses them comedy moments, those moments of like relief. Like there's a great panel which I'll show you in a bit, with Dupe, which is really funny, which I enjoyed. So he infuses those moments of comedy, but there's also tension, there's also drama. There's, he balances it all really well, and it really works. A lot of people have been a bit down on this book lately, saying it isn't as good as it was in the early days, but I've ordered the early issues. I'm just waiting for them to arrive in the post, so once I've read those issues I may agree with those people, but at the moment I'm still really enjoying the hell out of this book. It's still a good read, it's still fun. Not every issue has to be grim and dark and have big things happening, Like I said, there are some great character moments in here that really push the story on. As always, the artwork is good. We get to learn, some nice moments with the different characters, with the clowns. I think it worked. I want to show you that thing with Dupe. This is my favourite double page spread of the week, when the X-Men are all back on the case. That's just really cool. I love that one. But there's this panel here, this page here, with Dupe. You've got Dupe all the way around the main panels, which I really liked. That was really good. He's got the Dupe knuckle dusters as well, which I thought was a really nice touch. But yeah, this was an issue, a fun read. It wasn't a kind of comic that's going to blow your mind, but it was just a really good read, and there was some really good action in it. And yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm definitely on board for Wolverine and the X-Men, and I give this one a thumbs up. So here we are, Animal Man, issue 16, and it is part 4 of What World, the Red Kingdom. Last issue they arrived in Metropolis and they found the Green Lantern. This issue, they find out that this Green Lantern is from another planet where they're from like vegetation, and because his connections with the Green would be strong, the Guardians sent him to Earth, and they've quarantined the Earth from the rest of the universe, so that this rot will not spread. And he's been trapped underground, his power's run out, so he needs to get to his power battery, and he's hidden it somewhere, and he needs to get to it. But then they find out, because like the last issue the mystery was, why did Metropolis have flowers? Well, we get to find out it's because we've got Black Bar Thorn underground. This whole city is him, and he sort of wakes up and he's attacking our heroes, and they have to sort of divert him so that Animal Man can defeat him, and then Green Lantern can retrieve his battery. We also get to see a year ago with Maxine, and we remember that the younger Arcade, William, I think his name was, William Arcane, had led her to the Hunters, the last of the Hunters 3, there's only 2 of them left, and that they've enslaved her family. And they kind of give a condition that you become the 3rd member of the Hunters 3 and we will spare your family. So she's got to decide, is she going to make this deal or not? But if she doesn't, her family are done for. So it's a tough choice for the little girl. And then we jump back to the modern day, and Animal Man and his group are heading to Anton Arcane's palace, and they get to see who's guarding it, who's guarding the bridge, which is where it ends with that big cliffhanger. I really enjoyed this one. I've enjoyed our walk through Rot World, and to see what's happened to this world and all who's woken up and everything. I've really enjoyed it. I'm not usually a fan of two artists, but I like how they use the two artists in this book. I think, who is it? We have Steve Pugh and Timothy Green II, and I like it because for the scenes from the past with Maxine, they have one artist, and for the scenes from the present with Animal Man, we have another artist. So you've got like these two different artists, but it gives it a nice feel. So when you look and it's got a different kind of look, oh, there's Maxine in the past, and then you go back to that works really well, and I think it was a clever way to use two artists on the book. I'm really enjoying the story. I'm curious to see where this book's going to go, because we're coming to the end of this now, but ever since issue 1, Animal Man has either been fighting or running from the rot. So what's going to happen when this whole storyline finishes? Are we going to have other villains for him to go up against? It's going to be interesting, the direction of the book after this. But I'm still enjoying this, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it ends, and I give Animal Man a thumbs up. So next up we have Swamp Thing, which is part number 4 of What Were the Green Kingdom. And as with Animal Man, this is coming to the end of this story. And where Animal Man went to Metropolis, Swamp Thing went to Gotham City, and he went to find Batman. But Batman is now kind of like a big bat rat monster. So Batgirl saved him, and she's now like a woman bat. I don't know, you remember from the comic, it was Kurt Langstrom who made the Man-Bat syndrome, the serum, and she's got that serum now that Batman made, but he was already too far gone, so we gave it to Barbara, and Barbara Gordon took it, and she can turn into this Batwoman, and because she can do that, or woman bat, I don't know what you call her, but that's give her a connection to the Red that she survived. So she takes Swamp Thing to New Gotham, which is this Arkham Asylum, which they've converted into the city, and it's got this big force shield all around it that protects it, and you've got former villains like Mr. Freeze and Killer Croc are the protectors of this city, and Barbara takes him to this room on these projects that Bruce had prepared, because he was confident that Swamp Thing would come. So he got everything ready for Swamp Thing, and so he finds all this stuff. But then the city gets attacked, and Woman Bat or Gil Bat or Barbara Gordon or panics and is like, what are we going to do? We've got to do something. They're breaking through the force shield, and Swamp Thing's like, this is good, And then we get to jump 6 days later, and we see all of these things and what they were, all these things that Batman set up and what they were, and they get ready to sort of go and attack Anton Arcane's palace, and that's sort of where it ends, kind of in the same place where Animal Man ends. We also get to see what happened to Abigail, and when we get to that's something as well at the end, we get to find out what happened to her, which is both shocking and sad, but leaves you with excitement and anticipation for where this series is going to go next. The art, we've got Yannick Paquette back on the art, and I did really enjoy the art. It is really, in parts, it looks like a horror movie with some of the art. And what's happening to our characters. This was probably the most I've enjoyed Swamp Thing in a while, and that's not to say it's been bad, but this issue was just exceptionally strong. Everything just really clicked this issue, and the story's very fast paced, loads happening, but you don't, it doesn't ruin it in any way. I don't want to spoil the end, so I won't show anymore. But yeah, this was a really good issue. The thing, if you've been reading Swamp Thing, next month it's going to be like a crossover, so you need to be reading both Animal Man and Swamp Thing, because the stories are going to join up and continue from one to the other. but this issue was a really good one, the best they've done in a while, and they're really getting strong as we come to the end of this of Snyder's run on this book, and I give it a thumbs up. Next up we have Earth 2, issue number 8, and we get to meet this character, Steppenwolf, and his Fury. Steppenwolf was, of course, the one who led the Parademons in their attack against Earth from Apocalypse, and he led the 5-year war against the Earth, and he killed Wonder Woman near the end of that war, and then he was, you know, he's sort of a wanted man now. He's trapped on Earth, and he's a wanted man, and we kind of get to find out this issue what he's up to. And like last issue we got to see the human side of this Earth, and all the politics and that are going on. This issue we get to sort of see, well, what happened to this big bad guy, where, you know, 5 years he's been gone, there's a price on his head, where is he, you know, what's he been up to. We also get to find out who this girl is, and you know, it's that thing where you get answers and it just gives you more questions, and that's what this book does. It's a really good read. I liked it, and I like where they seem to be going with this. This is kind of like a one-shot kind of story, but that I think they're laying things out for the future. But I enjoyed this book. It was a good read and a nice look at exploring this world. The art I felt was a bit hit and miss. I felt there was some great pages where the art looks good, but then there was other pages, like I didn't like these two guards here so much, that I didn't feel it worked as well. So hopefully Nicola Scott will be back next issue. But you know, there's some great action in here. But I feel that this issue will play out better later on. I think this is very much setting up stuff to come later on, and I think this will probably take on a different significance when we see where the story's going. But all in all, a good read, and it was an interesting read because, you know, we're getting to find more, not just about our heroes, because none of our heroes really turn up in this one, but we're getting to find out a bit more about this world and what it's like. So yeah, a good read, and a thumbs up, and well worth checking out. Finally this week, my last review is The Fantastic Four issue 3, and I think they should rename this book The Fantastic Four, because oh my god, I had so much fun with this. It was just a really great read, and when I put this book down I had a massive smile on my face. It was really good. I liked issue 1. Issue 1 got me excited for the concept. I thought issue 2 was a bit of a disappointment. It just in many ways it repeated what we already had from issue 1. But issue 3, we're back on track. The story proper begins now. As like Reed knows that the molecules that gave him their powers from the cosmic rays are degrading, and it's going to kill them. The others don't know this yet, so Reed is under disguise. Oh, let's take the kids on this journey for a year to explore the universe. But in reality, he wants to try and find a cure, a way to stop what's happening to them. So this is the first story, and Reed finds a planet of interest that, you know, as the molecules that are degrading and that make their costumes and they're on this planet, but at the very early stage. So he's like, if I can learn more about the beginnings, maybe it might come to more conclusions about how to stop the end. So they go down to this planet. The Thing stays aboard the ship, and things don't go well once they land on the planet. You know, let's just say things go pear-shaped, and there's loads of fun, loads of action, and it was just a really great read. I like Matt Fraction as a writer. I love the heck out of Hawkeye, and I liked his Iron Man run, but I wasn't quite sure with the Fantastic Four. From issue 1, I could see he had the characters of the involved. He got all the characters spot on, But the problem for me was, could he do this? If, you know, you're taking the Fantastic Four beyond the known universe, you know, certain types of writers would do brilliant with that, other writers won't, because it takes a lot of, like, imagination. I wouldn't have the imagination to do justice to it, and I wasn't sure if Matt Fraction was that kind of writer, but this issue really shows I've got nothing to worry about. We're at the beginning and I watched to be another fantastic run, and yeah, if you just want a fun book to read, this is it. It was really great, left me with a smile on my face. The art by Bagley, yeah, I like Bagley's art in the main. About some pictures, you know, they had like Franklin and Valeria's heads seemed too big, but that's just like a minor gripe. In the main, I thought the art was really good. And there's just some really great moments, and yeah, a really fun read, and I give Fantastic Four issue 3 a thumbs up.